It's been a few weeks since Hersheypark officially announced their new for 2023 roller coaster, Wildcat's Revenge. And now that the dust has settled a bit in regard to the court of public opinion about the coaster, I've come to realize a few hard truths over the past few days. 1, it's pretty awesome being a dad. And 2, I was completely wrong about Wildcat's Revenge. Now, wrong about what exactly? Let's dive in and talk about it. To start things off, although I was wrong about my wicked Wildcat guess for the coaster's name, I can assure you this video has a bit more meat on the bone to it than just a wrong name guess. I'm going a bit more big picture with everything here, but in order to get there, I think it's important to share my initial thoughts on the announcement to help provide some context. And make sure to stick around to the end to hear what this could all mean for the current and future states of the coaster community as a whole. Alright, so beginning with the short trailer Hersheypark released, I wasn't entirely sure what to think at first, but 3 things stood out. First were the ride stats, which we'll get to more in just a minute. Second, the overall look with the color scheme and trains stood out, which I think are outstanding. And third, what in the world is an underflip? I actually had to look up this element, which is apparently described as an inversion that begins with an upward climb, followed by a counterclockwise 270-degree roll and a dive down towards the side. So yeah, needless to say, I thought the emphasis on the world's largest underflip was a bit obscure, but hey, it looks like a decent inversion, and the coaster overall should be great with a total of 4 inversions. Now, the thing about the minute-long trailer that I couldn't really get the best feel for is the overall layout, which is arguably the single most important factor to any roller coaster. But Amusement Insider was kind enough to release their unofficial POV rendering later on the same day the coaster was announced, which is the video that's been playing in the background here. And I must say that based on what I'm seeing here, Wildcat's Revenge looks to be absolutely fantastic. Now sure, the ride doesn't exactly look like an insane airtime machine, and the stats aren't breaking any sort of records by any means, but from this POV rendering, I'd say the transitions look amazingly quick and whippy, and the pacing looks to be outstanding. There's almost something about it that gives me some Major Iron Gwazi vibes, but maybe that's just me, I don't know, what do you guys think? Anyways, circling back to the ride stats, we're looking at a height of 140 feet, drop of 82 degrees, which the drop length is still unknown at this stage, top speed of 62 miles per hour, and track length of about 3,500 feet. So again, nothing too crazy that jumps off the page. And for RMC, ride stats, or lack thereof, have never really been an issue since they're known to make the best coasters with whatever structure they already have to work with. So one would think the stats of Wildcat's Revenge shouldn't really matter much based on RMC's track record, right? Well, the thing is, the hype train for Wildcat's Revenge had more steam to it compared to your typical coaster speculation, since Hersheypark is one of the more well-known amusement parks in the US, and it's been no secret that Hersheypark fans had been asking the park to give Wildcat the RMC treatment for years now. Throw in the fact that basically any RMC announcement is considered super high profile within the coaster community these days, and you have yourself a recipe for an exorbitant amount of speculation. That of which I think caused some to get a bit overzealous with their hopes and expectations for the ride stats, as I saw mentions of heights ranging anywhere from 200 to even over 300 feet for this project. So when I saw the actual stats released, I was downright intrigued to see how others would react. And this is where my initial assumption would prove to be my fatal flaw. I was completely wrong in assuming that there would be a ton of backlash, on social media in particular, in regard to the unremarkable ride stats. Seriously, I was originally ready to make a video calling Wildcat's Revenge the Hersheypark RMC version of Orion at Kings Island, which might sound like a crazy comparison at first, but not when you consider that Kings Island fans had been screaming for a Giga coaster for years, and when they finally got one with Orion, people immediately began criticizing the ride stats for being underwhelming, and to this day I know some out there are still a bit sour on Orion, even though it's the Giga coaster everybody was asking for, and really is an outstanding addition to Kings Island. I just think many got their hopes up into thinking they were getting something just as good or better than Fury 325 at Carowinds. So naturally, when Wildcat's Revenge was announced, I couldn't help but think, Here we go again, another coaster that people wanted for years now, but will ultimately complain about because of the run-of-the-mill stats. But boy, was I ever wrong. From what I can gather over the past few weeks, Wildcat's Revenge seems to be overwhelmingly praised, and I can't think of one single instance really where I saw someone bashing Hersheypark or the coaster in general. And I for one think it's just pretty awesome to see this amount of positivity and optimism within the community, which I think speaks volumes to the respect people have for both RMC and Hersheypark. So I guess shame on me for expecting more negativity on social media. I know, how dare I think such a thing, right? The lack of negativity was definitely a pleasant surprise for me, so I'm perfectly fine taking the L on this one. And I think it gives us some great insight to the overall attitude of the coaster community as a whole at this point in time. Everybody seems very optimistic about the future with these projects, especially for RMC, and the sky's the limit at this point, really. But at the end of the day, the true test for Wildcat's Revenge will come next summer when the ride opens for all guests to experience the coaster firsthand. And then we'll be able to see if RMC is able to continue their magic streak of awesomeness. But what do you all think? Where do you think Wildcat's Revenge will rank among the US RMCs? And perhaps more importantly, where do you think it'll rank among the coasters at Hersheypark? I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts down in the comments, don't be shy. And if you want to know what coasters surprised me the most this year, both good and bad, go ahead and watch this video and let me know if you had similar experiences on your coaster rides. And lastly, don't forget to subscribe if you're looking for more theme park and coaster content just like this. Thank you all so much for watching, guys. I've been Mike with Trout Takes, and we'll see you all real soon.